What is up, everybody? Welcome
Hello,
to
hello.
Married with Dragons, episode 8. And we're here to
Episode
talk
8.
about episode 8 of House of Dragon. And what's the title to that one?
Didn't you just say that, but in a
The
different...
Lord of the Tides.
Yep.
The Lord of the Tides is what this one is about. And this is a big episode. I feel like
I
we're
think
very close.
you're shaking
All right, I'm going to put my hands down
the
here.
table
I'm
there.
going to put my hands down here. But this is a big episode. And I don't know. What do you want to talk about first? You want to get into just initial thoughts?
So I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. This was my favorite episode.
Yeah, it's it feels weird because I feel like every single time we talk about the show, I keep saying this is probably my favorite episode.
Yeah.
And it happens every single week, which is a sign of a great show, I guess.
Right.
But it also just feels like I'm just a big fanboy of the show, and I can't like see any faults in it.
Yeah.
But it really just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
And I said this when they did the initial time jump, but I really think that the new characters in the new cast are better. As much as I like the younger versions, I think that they're better than the younger versions.
Right. I would agree with that. I mean, the first group of people were obviously great.
And I mean, we got new actors in this one because all the kids are aged up again. We had another time jump, 6 years.
Right.
And yeah, it's an incredible show. I hope everybody that's in the chat has watched it, because if you haven't, we're going to be spoiling the crap out of it.
Oh yeah.
But if you're in here and you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you watch House of Dragon, especially if you watch Game of Thrones. It's great. But yeah.
So, we're not very prepared tonight.
Yeah.
We don't have any notes wrote out, and I mean, a lot of stuff happened in this episode.
I do have images, so the images could probably help guide us.
Yeah, the images can help, but let's just go ahead and say it.
Say it.
The king is gone. The king is dead.
The king is dead. Viserys, right? King Viserys.
Yeah.
Okay. Viserys Targaryen. First of his name.
He literally died in the final seconds of the episode.
Yeah. But it was a thing where we had to hear the show's creators actually say that he died before we knew that he died. It was like, is he dead? Is he not?
I mean, yeah.
I felt like they made it clear.
Uh-huh.
But also it has become a little bit of a joke with the king. Yeah. Like every time they do a time jump, oh, the king's going to be dead.
Yeah.
And he's still alive.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So, with this, we were kind of talking last episode, we were kind of taking bets about how far he was going to make it. And I was kind of hoping he would make it to the finale, but he made it pretty close. 8 episodes is really saying something for how, sick he was. But we kind of find out in this episode. So there's basically been 6 years that have passed since the last episode.
6 years.
And
Rhaenyra, we open with the queen that never was.
Uh-huh.
And we find out that
that her husband,
the shipmaster, the sea snake, has got his throat slit or something, but he's not dead.
I don't know.
He's gonna die.
I don't know about that. I can't. Basically, he had been off at war.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure she said that she hadn't seen him in like 6 years.
Oh, so he's been gone since he probably left when their son died.
Yeah, I think that, they've been out fighting the war, and he's basically very, barely alive from what I gathered. And they were like, I don't see him.
I was trying to look up his name, but I know we have Corlys Valeron.
Yeah, there you go.
Is his name.
I got some new Funko Pops. I ordered some.
Those come in handy.
Yeah. So although you can't see him very good because of the glare, but anyway, so yeah, he's basically pretty much dead, and they're not counting on him to make it, which is kind of interesting, because we've already got at the beginning of the episode, we still have the king who's barely hanging on as well. So we're like, we've got these men who just won't die. But
it's interesting.
Obviously he wasn't sick or anything, but
we do have 8 people in chat. We're going to get to y'all's comments here in a second, but appreciate y'all being here tonight.
So basically,
we're actually here on a Monday night.
You keep interrupting me.
I'm sorry.
I'm already stumbling with my
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Here.
It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to be so stressed out. It's all right.
It's not okay, because then I'm just going to be sitting here saying nothing.
Okay.
But so basically it's all up for discussion about who's going to take his place, because they're not counting on him to make it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess I can see like why it was such a, like it was a pretty big deal this episode about who was going to take his spot. And I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if it was because like they were the main ones fighting in this war.
Yeah, well, I mean, the one guy's argument was that he was blood. I know, was he his brother or his cousin or nephew?
Well, I'm not talking about who was going to take his spot. I just don't know like why. They almost acted
it's
like
all about claiming power for their children in different.
But they
parts
almost
of the
acted
world.
like he was king or something, and that it was this really big deal.
Yeah, I mean, he is a king.
Yeah.
So obviously they want to spread.
Yeah.
Their alliances through their family,
right?
Because that's going to help them out in the end.
Yeah.
So every kingdom counts, even though it's not the main kingdom.
Yeah. So we've got basically his brother. How did you say his name?
Corlys. I'll say Corlys. I think that sounds right.
I feel bad, but I just call him the husband of the queen who never was. That's how my mind works. But basically, you've got his brother that's coming to the front.
Her name is Rhaenys. Rhaenys Targaryen.
Yeah. She's the queen that never was.
Yeah.
That's what she'll be forever to me. But basically, his brother is coming to the front, and he's like, I'm the obvious choice. And, his wife is not in agreement with that.
I think that's Sir Vaemond Valerian.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at right here.
Yeah. So that's kind of, how
so,
that
he puts in for a petition.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of.
They send out, the raven, or no, they don't use ravens, do they? They use people to deliver messages.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody say anything about an actual raven. I don't feel like.
I don't either.
Have you?
I feel like they did that in Game of Thrones, but I don't feel like they've been doing that in this show.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. You have to correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like they have usually had a person deliver the messages.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So that's the scene, that image I'm showing up. That's what we open up on. But then we go to.
No, that's once they're in King's Landing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's still an image. But anyway, then we go to Daemon and Rhaenyra.
Mm-hmm.
They're together in
Dragonstone. And they're coming back. They decide it's time, because they found out that that guy is, that's needing to be figured out. They decide that it's time to go back home.
Yeah.
Because I guess they know that this is going to start. It's basically going to affect her, I guess, because, she knows that her dad is about to maybe pass away.
Let's talk about the king real quick. The king was the driving force of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Pour one out for the king, King Viserys. What do you think of this mask? I got another image.
So
I love this.
We're definitely skipping around a little bit. I wasn't quite ready to talk about him because, this.
Look at that. Look at that image.
So, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. If you've been watching these live streams, he has always been my favorite. So I don't want these people to be coming out of the woods saying how awesome he was.
It's the woodwork, not the woods.
Whatever. I don't want people saying, oh, I love the king. I love the king. You know what? I liked him
I've
before.
always liked the king.
Yeah, you like Daemon, whatever.
Yeah.
I know a good character when I see one.
I don't feel like he's gotten an episode to be the focal point and be the
I
showcase.
feel like he's shined before.
He's definitely shined, but this episode it's not all King, but it's very King centric. Like, it made sense that he died in this episode because it just felt like the last gasp for the King.
It was the episode for him.
Yeah. But I will say that he had a definitely probably my favorite moment of the entire show.
Yeah.
And I would honestly put it up against any top moment of Game of Thrones.
So I was thinking about this last night. Because I know you loved Ted Stark. Ned Stark. Ted Stark.
Exactly. They're very similar. Very similar.
Who do you like more?
It's tough for me to go against Ned.
Yeah, but
it is tough. They're both very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what King Viserys had to do in the very beginning,
performance-wise, I feel like Ned
wasn't really. They're very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I love Sean Bean as Ned Stark.
I don't feel like he had that.
And he got one more episode.
I said Ted.
He got one more episode than Viserys too, because he died in episode 9, or Viserys. Gotcha. Very close.
Mm-hmm.
I'd still probably get the. I don't know. If I go back, see, I would say Viserys now, but it's only because I haven't seen season 1 of Game of Thrones in probably 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
If I watched season 1 of Game of Thrones, I would go back to Ned Stark probably. So, but they're very close. They're very similar. I think the only thing that Viserys has working against him is the fact that he made that decision to basically murder his wife in the opening episode, and that's not really that wasn't really a good thing to do. And I don't know if Ned would have made that same decision for Catelyn Stark.
Yeah, maybe,
but I don't think he would have.
Yeah.
So, but Ned was never king, so he never was confronted with those kind of decisions before.
Right. Well, so basically, we were all wondering, like, is the king still alive in this episode? They kind of don't show him right away. They mention him, like you see the Alicent. You see her kind of sitting at his throne, kind of filling in for the king, if you will. And so you're kind of like, okay, like that's probably not good. And so then you finally get to see him, and he's pretty much bedridden for the most part. He does have, some guardsmen or whatever you want to call them. They will kind of move him to and from, but for the most part, he's bedridden.
Yeah.
And you kind of find out that, and it took me a second, but you kind of find out that they've basically been trying to keep him alive to give Alicent and her people more time to be prepared to kind of,
And you do get to a moment in the episode where you feel like that's the case, but then in another portion of the episode, I don't feel like it's as sinister as you might make it out to be in your head, or as they're intending it to be.
Like keeping him alive.
Yeah. Because by the time we got to the end of this episode, I don't think you can call Alicent like a full blown like villainous character. I don't think she's heartless. I think she has emotion. I think she has heart.
Yeah.
And I think that she genuinely does care for the king in a way. So I don't think it's all the way malicious. Maybe with her dad, it is. Like, he's definitely pulling the strings there, but
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I would agree that she's not like a full on villain or anything, but I still don't, like she is doing great and everything. The actress Olivia Cook, like she's doing great, but for some reason, like I still just don't like. I don't want to root for her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, she's
like, I'm not like, yeah, like you. That's right, girl. You get it. Like, I'm not on her side.
Yeah, I mean, she's the queen, and she has 2 little shits for sons. And
yeah, I mean, pretty much all of her children are a mess.
And I think the reason you don't want to root for her is what her trajectory is going to be. Like, these types of characters in Game of Thrones. Like, she is going to be the Cersei of this show.
Yeah.
Her kids are shits, and she's not going to go against her kids.
Yeah.
So when they start doing really terrible things, she's going to back them.
I mean,
and that's going to make her villainous by proxy, kind of like Cersei with Joffrey.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell, there's several moments in the episode where she, like, you can tell that she's always having to be on her children, like making them do the right thing, or listen to them, listen to her and everything. And so I get the feeling that she's definitely been parenting alone. Like, I don't think the king has had any involvement in raising the kids. For one, he's been sick, and for two, he's king, and so it might not have been very common for the dad to be super involved. I don't know.
Well, you have this guy, and this is Aegon.
Yeah.
This is the firstborn.
Which he changed quite a bit.
Yeah, and you open up, and he's raped some maid in the house, and the queen has to come in and kind of smooth that over and give her the little morning after tea.
Right.
And she has a little talk with her. It's like, look, everybody's going to think you're a whore if you spread this around, so don't spread it around. That's what she basically says.
Yeah.
Kind of manipulates her.
And then she goes into his room. She finds him like passed out drunk. He's naked. And she's like, wake up, yelling at him. And he's just kind of like, it's no big deal, whatever. And she just smacks the crap out of him.
Yeah.
And then, he gets emotional. He cries. He's like, I never wanted this. He's like, I don't want this. And so, there is a little bit of, there might have been like a smidge of sympathy, in the moment that these kids don't really want all this pressure that she's putting on them,
Yeah.
Like, she wants them to be king so bad, or, she wants her son to be king so bad. And it's like, he doesn't even want it. So it's like, why not just let your friend be the queen?
Yeah. And all the kids are grown. You have Aegon, Aemond, and I don't know the daughter's name.
I don't know.
I would have to look it up.
She's the,
I'm surprised I got the two boys' names correct.
But let's talk about
let's talk about now. This kid. This kid's it's really hard to feel sorry for him. And this is very interesting because when they were kids, Aemond or Aegon was the dickhead that bullied him around. But once he got on that dragon,
he changed
his whole trajectory changed.
Right.
And now, like, he's going to be the biggest, baddest villain of this show. You can see it right there.
Well, it's funny, too, because he's the middle child, but he's bigger than the others.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's big. He has, like, a very strong, like, face structure.
Yeah.
Like, of course, he's got the scar from where he lost his eye when they were kids.
They definitely cast him to look a lot like Daemon, because he does look like a younger Daemon. But like if Daemon had lost his eye.
Bigger too, though.
Oh, was he taller than Daemon?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's taller than Daemon.
But he has the same demeanor as Daemon. He has the same swagger, and he just carries himself in a very similar way.
Well, I think that's
even more like sinister and villainous, I think.
Yeah.
Like, you can just tell this guy's going to be ruthless.
Right.
He already is, but like,
I think that's
in
kind
10
of
more years.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the point. Daemon kind of meeting his match, because we've seen Daemon kind of being this, ruthless, badass, if you will. And then you kind of see them together in this episode. And like I said, he's taller than Daemon. Of course, he's younger than Daemon now. Like, he's, the kid's in his prime, where Daemon's getting older now.
Yeah.
And so, like, and they're on opposing sides,
I really wanted a scene with both of them together, because the one kid walks out, and then Daemon kind of looks, and I thought he was going to walk out after him. They were going to have a little scene with the two of them where Daemon was kind of like, look, you need to calm it down, rein it in just a little bit. I've been down this path, and kind of showing him the ways or whatever.
No.
And then the kid just looking at him and be like, I don't care. You're old or whatever. I don't have to listen to you or whatever.
No.
Just giving us some kind of smart reaction.
Daemon's not going to say that.
But let's get into the chat real quick and say hi to people. Do you want to do the chat?
No, you can do it.
Let's see. Hello, Ken and Michelle. How's things? Slanche.
You said
Slanche.
It wrong. Yeah, Slanche.
Let's see. Spider's in here. Says, hey. What's up, Spider?
Who's that?
Who is that? Silent Attacker 1530G says, hello. What's up, Ken and Michelle? What is up? How you doing? Rev 4K's in the house. Did you watch the latest episode, Rev? He said, yo, what's slurping?
I'm assuming he did if he's in the chat.
Silver Bullet said, great episode for sure. Spider says, I have. My Killer Podcast in the house says I'm not even going to have to watch the show after hanging in these streams. What's up, friends? Well, Mel, you need to watch the show.
We cannot talk about this show.
One thing I want to ask you,
as good as it is.
And I know I'm going to keep bringing up the new TV, but how did it look on the new TV?
It looked really good.
I said it on my live stream last night. I was like, this is the best thing I've watched on the TV so far.
I mean, it looked really good, but I mean, also, there's a part of me that's like, I don't know if I see a difference.
I saw a huge difference, like monumental.
I'm not really one, like, I've not been the one that looks for that stuff, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, my God. It was House of Dragon is streamed in Dolby Vision and HDR, and my goodness, it looked incredible.
I mean, our new soundbar was nice.
Yeah.
Listening to the theme song was good.
I loved how it opened, though, because it just brings you into the world. Every single time they do a time jump, it's just like it just takes you into the world, and they don't skip a beat, and they give you everything you need to feel like you're caught up.
Yeah.
With the time jump, like you don't ever feel lost. But I love that sense of dread that they build, like the king's still alive, and you're just like thinking the whole time, what does he look like?
Oh yeah.
And they do such a good job of just building that suspense.
Yeah.
The king, Cry Faces, Patty what's his name? Patty Considine?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Great role, played it fine. He said he just played it fine.
No.
What do you think about that?
He was fantastic.
Do you think he deserves an Emmy or something, Golden Globe?
Oh, he deserves something for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Love when Daemon helped the king walk up to the throne. Yeah, that was that's what I was talking about. We can go ahead and talk about it if you want.
Yep.
But that's my favorite scene of the entire show so far. Not just Daemon helping him, but the whole walk.
Right. So
from the back to the throne.
When earlier I was talking about how, when we see him, he's bedridden or whatever. Well, he basically, he knows everyone's back in visiting or whatever. And so he's like, I want to have dinner with my family. Let's get that set up. And anyway, also Rhaenyra, not Rhaenyra. I always want to do an S at the end. Rhaenyra had gone to him, and he's kind of like in and out of consciousness. Oh my gosh. Yeah. He kind of like hallucinates a little bit, I think maybe from his illness, but also just the medication that they're giving him. And so
they're dosing him up on milk of the poppy.
He's not always coherent. And so anyway, Rhaenyra, she gets this kind of a moment alone with him. And that was super emotional. I've always loved their relationship. And it's very interesting because like we talked about, this is we've seen the young Rhaenyra with her, so a different actress. We've seen the current Rhaenyra, a different actress. And I've loved their relationship the whole time,
Yep.
Like you just always feel that father-daughter bond and just love for one another. So anyway, she's basically like questioning wanting to be queen again, and she's like, this is a great burden. And she kind of starts crying, and she's like, if you want me to take this burden, she's like, I need you to help me. Like I need you to basically, because they're talking about her sons being bastards again, and she's like, I need you to take a stand for us, yada yada yada. So anyway, you're not really quite sure if he's heard her, listened or whatever. And so then later on, when they're having their like meeting or whatever, she's about to like plead her case to everyone. Yeah. And then the doors open and it's him. And it's just like it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Like it was just so.
Like I said, it's a small moment. And this show, like I want people to understand this, like if they haven't seen it, there's not a ton of like battles and fighting and all these like big grand moments like I feel like was in Game of Thrones. But I mean, the first season of Game of Thrones was kind of smaller, but it's just all these like quiet character moments that just feel so grand, just in scale, just the way that the actors play them, the way that it's shot, and just
I would say
just all the characters are just so well done.
This show is more into like character development, and emotions.
I think so too, and I think that the first season, when it's done, this first season is definitely going to be better than the first season of Game of Thrones. I am comfortable in saying that. I think that the performances are out of this world. I don't feel like all of the kids in Game of Thrones were quite up to, like Sophie Turner wasn't great in the first season. There was a couple of the kids that Kit Harington wasn't fantastic. You know, Amelia Clark. I didn't think that they were all great in the first season. Everybody in the show, from the adults to the kids, like, everybody's great. I don't feel like anybody's bad.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So
yeah, just the scene. So he's coming. Do you probably already showed it. Do you have one where he's like at the door walking?
I don't have one where he's at the door.
They're all just kind of shocked.
These swords have not always been there, right? That's for this show. I guess they got rid of those, or is that in Game of Thrones and I'm just forgetting?
I don't know if there were quite as many.
I don't feel like all these swords like leading up to the throne were there before.
I don't know though.
Somebody correct me in the chat.
Yeah, but it's a lot of swords. Yeah. But yeah, so you just get that. It was just iconic. I mean, everybody was shocked that he was there.
And he's wearing this damn gold mask, and I love it.
Yeah,
I love it to death. Like when I saw it, I was like, "That's iconic." Like there's gonna be freaking people selling the gold mask. That's an image right there.
Yep.
That's like a big figure. That's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it was iconic.
Posters, like everything. Like that's such a great image of him.
Yeah, and I mean, he takes it off later, and you find that he's lost an eye, and he has like a big gaping hole on the side of his cheek.
Now that, if I had to give the episode one criticism, I didn't love how they did the CGI on that. I did think it looked a little exaggerated. Just how deep the hole was, and he looked a little bit too zombie-fied.
When they like showed his bed sores and stuff.
Yeah, the bed sores didn't bother me. I think it was just the face and how they showed the eye with the hole. You could just tell it was CGI.
Gotcha.
And I understand they had to do it, but
yeah, it didn't bother me too bad.
I would have liked a little bit more prosthetics or a little bit more, I guess, real makeup and effects.
I don't know. Don't say it's too clean.
Not too clean. It's just the CGI kind of bothered me a little bit, but that's a small nitpick, and it really didn't take away from anything.
So anyway, back to the moment. It was a big deal because, for one, he's there. He's like, okay, I'm going to come up. I'm going to support my daughter. That was the big thing. He basically showed up to support his daughter. That's why he was there. And so everybody was shocked, couldn't believe that he had made it out of bed.
Yeah, you got Hightower up there.
You got
Otto,
people kind of like, yeah, like some people were like disappointed that he showed up, and then some people are like happy for him.
He's sick, but like he's still, when he gets on that throne and starts talking, like he has authority. Like he's like, what are we even talking about here? He's like, this is ridiculous. This whole petition's ridiculous. Like we already had the successor for this sorted out.
Yeah.
Like what are you all even talking about?
And so, he's struggling very hard to like get to his seat, and he's like, no, I got this. They're trying to help him, and then you get the scene where he drops his crown. And so, fun fact, that was actually an accident.
Oh, was it?
It was an accident, and they just went with it.
Nice.
And it actually turned out to be one of the most emotional scenes.
Oh, so good.
Because, he's about to go pick up his crown that he dropped, which that represents so many things. Obviously it represents him being a dying king, and he's struggling, and so him losing the crown like that symbolized a lot of things. And so then you get this scene where Daemon comes up and he picks it up for him and he puts it back on his head.
Yeah.
And then
he helps him up to his seat.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't let anybody else help him, but he would let his brother. He was like, you know what? You've given me a lot of shit in my life. I'm gonna let you help me up here.
Well, I think it was more.
I know it's because it's his brother. He
Yeah.
appreciated.
It wasn't
a gesture.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm sure it surprised the hell out of him that he would do that, because I'm sure he's never known his brother to be that warm and caring at all.
The king had been trying to make up with his brother for the last few episodes, and Daemon wasn't having any part of it. So anyway, that was really nice to see. Kind of just patching their poor relationship, because it's like, even though they went through a lot together, you always knew that Daemon loved him, but it was just that he had this he was just stubborn. So but yeah, that whole scene was super emotional. I was on the verge of tears. Like I wanted to cry, but I was trying to hold it back for some reason.
Yeah. You know, it's a good episode when we're sitting there and we're not talking at all.
Mm-hmm.
We're not even really looking at each other. We're just kind of focused on the
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Marcos here says that was a very emotional episode. Because the Valeron control the fleets for the Seven Kingdoms, that's why it's such a
Okay.
big deal. Yep. Keep your head whilst those around you are losing theirs. Yeah, do you want to talk about that real quick? The
What,
guy
the
that was
Daemon and
petitioning,
yeah.
When it's all over with, he goes ape shit and calls the Rhaenyra's kids bastards.
Yeah, so this was when the king had taken the throne. He,
Yeah.
Came. King's like, listen, we are deciding that it's going to be Rhaenyra. What did they decide? Rhaenyra's son?
Rhaenyra's son is going to marry Rhaenar's daughter, and they're going to control.
Well, both of them. Both of the girls are going to marry.
Yeah, they
both
betrothed both of them.
Yeah. But what was that saying? Was that saying that they were going to take his spot?
Basically, now they're going to rule.
Yeah, and so the brother of Corlys.
Well, let's call him Cornelius. Corlys. It's Corlys Valeron.
He basically
a lot of names. That's hard. And now they're starting to like recycle names.
I know.
She named her next son Aegon.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of wondering, is that the Aegon? Is that going to be the Aegon? Because there is an Aegon that
they talk about.
Yeah, that they talk about in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So anyway, he basically loses his temper. He's like, you know what? No, I am not going for this. He's like, and it's like, oh my gosh, are you stupid? Like, why are you like? He seemed like he would be a very, logical person.
He's just going to get arrested, and the king calls for his tongue. You're like, oh crap, you're going to take his tongue.
I mean, that didn't really surprise me.
And then what happens?
Yeah, so Daemon, he yells. The guy yells out. He's like, "No, like this is."
And I love when Daemon says he's just like, "Say it." It's like, "Say it, you son of a bitch."
Yeah, he's like, he like looks at Rhaenyra and the kids and everything, and he's like, "They're bastards." Like he does not care at all.
I think in that moment, I don't think he gave a shit.
He really didn't.
Just like, I'm done. Like this is bullshit. You all can kill me. I don't care.
Do you think he knew? I don't know if he knew he was going to get killed like that.
I think he probably thought he was going to get arrested, maybe trial by combat. Maybe we haven't really seen trial by combat.
He kind of turns back around, and while he's looking at the king, Daemon just gets out his sword, swipes his head right in half.
Yeah,
and Daemon says he can keep his tongue.
Yeah, and then they all Otto Hightower is like. They all pull their swords on Daemon for a second because I guess he
get
created
him
a
or
disruption
something
in the court. The king's like, no.
Yeah, the king's like, whatever. And so, and then the king, he starts having like pain and stuff again, so they have to haul him off or whatever. But yeah, that was a pretty cool scene. It was very quick, and everybody was kind of like,
oh shit.
But
yeah, we had a beheading.
But then
or not even a full beheading, but like a half beheading. It was real cool how they did it.
Yeah, he like
because the tongue was still sticking out.
He like sliced it right here to where he still had his tongue. But I mean, yeah, we didn't even talk about how basically the Queen Who Never Was and Rhaenyra made a deal, and it was that marriage.
Yeah.
Because that also Rhaenyra and the Queen That Never Was, the Queen That Never Was has this beef with Rhaenyra. Basically, she's very bitter and right, wouldn't you say?
Definitely bitter.
Yeah, she's very bitter, and you can just know that she doesn't like Rhaenyra. She knows that her son that was married to Rhaenyra, she knows that those aren't her real grandchildren and all of that. So there's definitely some beef there, but
and this is the oldest of Rhaenyra's kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know his name.
I can't remember his name either.
At all. Yeah. But yeah, she has 3
that
kids.
Haircut, though.
This one and the middle one and then the youngest one. And now she's got 2 new kids with Daemon and she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have 6 kids.
Yep.
3 brown-haired kids and 3 blonde-headed kids.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Well, I think the 2 weren't they twins or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were twins. So yeah, I'm trying to think.
Here, let's get back in the chat
so
real quick.
so during the dinner, that was another emotional scene. That the king knows that everybody's just at it with one another, and he gives this like really heartfelt speech where he's just like, if you won't do it for the king, at least do it for the person that I am to each of you. Like do it as do it for me, your father, or do it for me, your brother, or your husband. And it was just, again, super emotional. That's when he took his mask off. He was like, I want you to see me for who I really am. That's when we got to see, the wounds and everything. But just
that's why I didn't.
Super emotional scene.
That's why I didn't love, because there was such a great performance. It was such a great scene. I just felt like every time I looked at his eye, just the CGI was just distracting me and kind of took me out of the moment.
I thought I was fun.
I again would have rather them. Did they have to make the hole so deep? Couldn't they just put some? Couldn't it just been like raw flesh or something instead of having like a hole all the way through his head?
But
almost?
I mean, that's how it would probably be.
Yeah, I just thought it was.
They probably did their research about what an eye socket looks
I just thought it was too exaggerated. I thought they could have done it a different way.
And then I just quickly want to talk about too, during this dinner scene. This is when Rhaenyra, she's been trying so damn hard to get the queen, Alicent, to just accept her and get this begrudging. You keep hitting the table.
I know it's tough. I'm a big guy. This is a small table. You got me freaking hold it in here.
So anyway, she stands up and she makes the toast. This is after her, dad has begged everybody to just get along. So Rhaenyra, she just makes this nice toast about the queen. And she's like, I truly am so grateful for you. You've taken such good care of my father. She goes, you've been by his side the whole time, and I'm grateful for that.
You think she was being genuine, or you think she just did it for her father?
I feel like it was a little bit of both. Yeah. And then the queen decides to, also give a toast back, and she's like,
See, I almost felt like Alicent's was even more genuine than Rhaenyra's.
You think?
Because I didn't
know.
feel
I can never tell with her. That's the thing. Is like,
because it almost felt like in that moment she was kind of just letting loose of everything that her father had, instilled in her, and just being like, you know what, I'm just going to ignore everything my father's told me for a second and just speak from the heart. It's like, you used to be my best friend, and I was kind of forced into the situation, and it sucks, but I would love it if we could get back there. But
I think that it was a little bit of both. I think that they half meant what they said, but also I think they were doing it for the king because, they do both care for him. And I don't know if Alicent actually ever cared for him romantically or not.
Probably not.
Yeah, I never got that feeling. I mean, we missed quite a bit of time with them.
Yeah.
We only got to see them in the beginning when she was when she was quite young. And she definitely didn't like having, sex with them in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that ever changed, or
I don't know if she ever had a guy on the side or everything, but they haven't really shown that. So
I think that she has. And I mean, I
think
can't
she's
imagine.
Pretty focused and determined.
I don't think that. I wouldn't think that their relationship got better because he just continued to get more bed sores and so. It's
they stopped having kids, so I'm sure after the last one, it was probably done.
It's probably just been strictly business,
Yeah. James Land also said the sea snake's seat is important because they control most of the ships. And so you see why the sea snakes are important.
That's why we have you guys. You can
I almost cried when he was trying to walk to the throne, and I actually had a little bit of tears coming down my face when he died. That whole scene was just very well done. Very well done. Performance-wise, I give it to Viserys because he played the younger, the old, and the sick character. I hate to be one of those bandwagon jumpers, but at this point from this episode, he was my favorite character. So for the first time, I'm going to name him as my favorite character.
I roll
for the show. But how could you not? This was a showcase episode for him. Adrian James says, hey there, Ken and Michelle. How's it going? What's up, Adrian? Thank you for being here. Douglas is here. Hello, Ken and Michelle. Thanks for the recent update. Appreciate you being here. Silent Attacker says, hey, Ken and Michelle, I just want to say House of the Dragons is available to pre-order for 4K on Amazon. I got to be getting that.
Yeah.
Every edition.
I wish that they would do something cool, though.
Joffrey was a way bigger turd.
I don't know.
Well, you
we're
ain't
just
got a
not getting
chance.
started.
Yeah, you ain't got this kid ain't got a chance to shine yet. Joffrey was a turd, but this kid's
Here's the thing, though. Joffrey was a turd, yeah.
I think Aegon's more like Joffrey.
But Joffrey's not scary. Like,
Yeah.
he's just this, like, little...
Aemon's scary.
Yeah, he's actually
Aegon
scary.
is not scary. He's just a little shit.
Yeah. So, I think that this guy has the potential to be a
We didn't even get to see him on his dragon this week. I imagine we're going to see him on his dragon before the end of the season.
That's right. Because he still has that big one.
Let's see. Well, Aemond is an anagram of Daemon. Oh, is it? Nice. Is it really? Oh, okay. I think it just meant all the letters. That's an anagram, right?
I have no idea.
I think all the letters are the same. You could spell Daemon with Aemond. Is what that means.
Oh.
I was reading it as backwards, but then I tried to do it backwards. I was like, no, that's not it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know that either.
The Iron Throne is different from God. That's what I thought. Caladilly says, just saying I haven't seen Game of Thrones stuff, so I'm lost.
That's all right.
It's okay. Not a lot different to the real life monarchy, marriage to cousins and the like. Never been a loyalist myself.
Yeah, no, they just marry up cousins and...
Yo, Adrian. Vaemond wants to go out with a bang, so basically he knew he wasn't going to live, the actor saying in that Inside episode. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Great scene, looked awesome. Vaemond found out what F around and find out means in King's Landing.
Yeah, we did watch the like inside the episode or behind, whatever you want to call it. And that actor that got by Daemon, he was he was laughing about it. He was like, well, I will just say this. He came up from behind me.
Oh, yeah.
He's still saying that was like an unfair shot, you know?
Silent Tiger said, and Ken and Michelle wanted to say the season finale. I looked it up online. It's going to be an hour and 20 minutes.
Nice.
I'm excited. David's Horrors here. He says, I like the SFX they did on Viserys. So he liked the special effects.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Walking Dead. Like he looked like a walker.
You're not a true fan then, so shut up.
Who?
You're not a true fan of the King then.
If I didn't like the makeup.
If you didn't like his special effects. I like all of him.
I just love this golden mask so much.
We're going to have to look it up, okay?
I just love that damn golden mask so much. When he took it off, I was like, oh, you're not as cool anymore.
Oh, he still was cool.
He was so awesome.
And like his teeth also were like rotting out.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of like black teeth now. Man, poor guy. It was heartbreaking. I mean, like, just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then, we'll just close it out with the ending where he, you think like, okay, like, are they just going to keep, like, he's always struggling for breath, and you're just like, he's in bed and Alicent comes to give him like his nightly, what'd you call it? What's it called?
Milk of the poppy.
Milk of the poppy. And he's kind of like hallucinating again. And he's talking about the damn Fire and Ice song.
Well, Rhaenyra says something about the song Ice and Fire earlier in the episode.
Yes. But they've always talked about that. Remember in the previous episodes?
I didn't understand
on the sword.
This.
It's on the sword, and so they've always talked about the what's it called? Not prediction, but
the prince that was promised.
Yeah, but what's the word for like something that is meant to be, or like
destiny?
Not destiny, but I can't think of the word.
Prophecy.
Prophecy. Yes, a prophecy. So I saw, though, that Alicent takes it the wrong way. She thinks that when the king, his dying breath, she thinks that he's saying that their son should be king. But really, he's not talking about that. He was talking about
Rhaenyra. The other Aegon.
Yes. Yeah. Rhaenyra's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that becomes a problem in the, next 2 episodes.
I didn't read this until I read something or watched something. I can't remember. But so he doesn't know he's talking to Alicent in those last moments. He thinks he's talking to Rhaenyra.
Right.
That's why he brings up the Song of Ice and Fire.
Right. And so,
and that's why he says, I think that you're the prince that was promised, is what he says to her.
Right.
Right? So he thinks Rhaenyra is the one. If you want to put it in Matrix terms, she's the one.
Yeah, I don't know. But all I saw
Well,
was
we
in
know the true prince that was promised is Jon Snow.
Really?
Yeah.
He was the
I'm
prince.
not wrong in that, right?
He was the prince that was promised.
Yeah, he's the guy that leads the war.
That's true.
Yeah, no, he's the
But
guy.
but like, was that
It was either him
prophecy
or
right,
Danny.
though?
It was either him or Danny. Like it was both of them that you didn't fully know who it was until the end.
Right. Yeah.
They did a bad
So
job of kind of fleshing that out, conveying that, I think, in the last season because they were rushing to do so many other things. But
right. Yeah, I don't know. This episode was just fantastic. Like, I could see myself going back and watching it again.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to watch this entire series again, this whole season. I don't know. It's just, again, I feel like I say this every single week, but every episode's better than the last one.
Mm-hmm.
This is by far my favorite episode.
Mm-hmm.
I say by far. Like, I think that it's a perfect 5 for sure.
Mm-hmm. There was just so much emotion and tension, and
yeah.
it
but
was
I mean,
just...
none of that would be there if you didn't have everything before it. But it was just, I don't know, it was on another level. And I truly think that this is on par with some of the best seasons of Game of Thrones. But again, it's really hard to compare the two. I love how this it feels similar, but it also feels very different.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the pacing of the show is very different. Like they're doing all these time jumps.
It's also hard to, obviously, like, this show is still fresh with us, so it's easy to be all hype on it, and be like, oh, this show's awesome and amazing and better than, like, it's like right now it'd be easy for me to say that I like this better than Game of Thrones so far.
Yeah.
But, it's only been one season, not even one season yet. And, like, there's still a lot of...
And I do think that one thing that does help is the fact that there aren't as many characters as Game of Thrones. Because in Game of Thrones, you're jumping around all over the world. You're jumping around here, but it's still within this family.
Yeah. I mean, there would be episodes to where we didn't see a family for...
Yeah. Feels a lot smaller, but I think that the benefit of that is it's just a much more focused...
That's what I said. More character development.
Yeah, more character development for the characters we have.
Yeah, you just get more of this, like, emotional bond with the characters, and there's just... But like, I mean,
you can feel it starting to get bigger with all the kids.
Well, now that we know that it's gonna get a second season, like, are they gonna introduce more characters? Are they gonna keep it small, and it just be like the kids and the parents? And I don't know, but
I just get I always get skeptical, I guess, because we keep getting introduced to all these incredible actors.
Mm-hmm.
Like the kid that's playing Aemond is such a little shit.
Mm-hmm.
But in like 2 episodes, we'll lose him and it'll be somebody else.
Right.
And it's like, but I mean, I have confidence, I guess, because the casting's been so good so far.
Yeah. Okay. Let's rate it. I'm giving it 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
5 out of
for
5.
Sure. I think it's the best episode, and yeah, it's amazing.
Show that king again.
What the show's doing.
Just show that one with the mask.
The man in the golden mask.
I mean, look at him. Just amazing.
Patty Considine, give him the Emmy, give him the Golden Globe.
Rest in peace, King.
Give him the Oscar. Hell, give him the Oscar. I know it's not a movie, but better than any performance in a movie I've seen.
I will say this quickly in closing. I will not deny that he might not have been the best king. He definitely cared more about his family than he did being a king, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't really care about that. But I will say, because I saw people like online talking about it, about how, and I mean, they even said it into the inside the episode or whatever, about how he didn't really
he didn't always make the best decisions.
He didn't always take care of things when
naming
and how
Rhaenyra heir was stirred up so much shit,
mm-hmm.
and it basically is going to lead to the downfall of the Targaryen reign in Westeros, as we know, because when we come to Game of Thrones, they're not ruling in Westeros. So him naming Rhaenyra heir, I think is what's going to lead to that. But it's like,
how can you say that it was because of that? Like, maybe somebody else would have done it and they would have had a downfall as well. You never know. That's
it was because of the love that he had for his daughter that,
and you know what he said? Well, this is kind of like sad too for like Alicent, but he said like he called her his only child.
Yeah.
Like to Rhaenyra. Like he doesn't even count his other kids.
Yeah.
Like, did you catch that? Yeah. So that's kind of sad, like for those kids.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Well, they're little shit, so they don't deserve a parent anyway.
But maybe they wouldn't have
well,
been
not the little girl that's. Well, hold on. And one other thing I want to talk about is the daughter. Let's go back to the kids real quick. Is the daughter married to Aegon? Are they together? When the mom talks about his wife, is that who she's talking about? Did they marry those two?
What, the brother and sister?
Yeah, are they married? Because I feel like I saw her. She was at the dinner table, and I thought that they were together. I thought they made a mention of them two being together.
I thought he was just being like a protective brother. But if that's true, that's weird.
His wife never shows up, and his mom references his wife when she wakes him up. She's like, "What would your wife think of this?" or something.
I don't know.
So he has a wife, but you never see her, and then you see her walk in.
Yeah, somebody said yes.
Yeah, so they're married.
Oh my god.
Him and his sister are married, which I mean, it's not off brand for the show and the Targaryens.
But brother, I mean, I know that's like Cersei and
yeah,
but wow.
But it's acceptable for Targaryens.
That's
Constantine,
crazy.
Aegon married, yeah.
Wow.
They're married and have 3 kids in the episode. They had 3 kids. I don't even remember the 3 kids either.
What?
Yeah, I guess
when does it show their kids? We're talking about the kids.
Well, they'll be 20 in next episode.
They said that in the previous episode. At the dinner, the daughter makes a crack about Aegon never being there.
Yeah.
What the? I clearly need to watch the episode again.
Things move fast.
To be fair, our daughter was down here with us, so that's always a bit of a distraction. So we do always miss bits and pieces, which is kind of funny because we want to talk about it with you guys, and you're like, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. But
yeah,
this is supposed to be casual. Like we not only do it to like recap every little thing, but it's also like to talk to you all and have you all tell us things that we might have missed.
Yeah.
So.
But it's a great show.
Fantastic.
I'll praise it one more time
for the last 2 episodes. Like I don't want it to end, but I'm just so excited to see what's going to happen.
I'm going to praise it one more time just for the fact that it's doing something. It feels like what the show's doing is really original. Like all these time jumps. Have we ever seen a show like this that's doing all these time jumps, but yet everything just flows so seamlessly?
Right.
And it feels natural. I don't know. It's an incredible show. If y'all aren't watching it, watch the damn thing. But look, that's it. We're done. You have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, the king, Patty Constantine. Did you know he's like in a band? He's like he's like a rocker.
I was looking him up. He's only 49.
Yeah, he's like a rocker guy.
Yeah, he's only 49. He looked like he was about 102 in this episode.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's my new favorite. I think he might be having something else come out.
Maybe. He was definitely a rock star in this episode. For sure. Best performance. But appreciate everybody watching. Let us know in the comments, as always, what's your rating on this episode.
Yeah.
And it better not be anything less than a 5 out of 5.
I know, right?
We're going to have words. And then like this video. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We do, movie reviews and TV reviews and entertainment news and all that kind of stuff. We're in the middle of our 13 days of horror right now.
Yep.
We watched Fright Nights. We watched the new Hellraiser.
Yep.
We got a lot of cool movies coming on the horizon. Appreciate everybody watching. You have anything else you want to say?
Nope. Have a good night, guys.
See you guys later.